was a stage play.
Oh boy.
Right? Like, and it's not that hard to see it. And each one of you kind of have your own little special expertise and background and all of this stuff. And Tiger Shark and I have been looking at a lot of this stuff. Sirius has been around since day one, since I've been around, so knows all my nonsense like the back of his hand, and has contributed to our book a ton. And then
You
of course
have
Doctor over here.
nonsense?
Yeah, I have a little bit of nonsense. You can get my book.
Oh, wow.
Which features all of our writing. It's called The Towel of Minerva. The Towel of Minerva. It's that one right there. You do that to AMSR thing.
I don't understand.
I
And
don't
that's
understand
available
it
on
either.
your website, right?
That's available on shopskobie1.com. You can get your Towel of Minerva hats. You can get your Alabastrums hooded sweatshirts. You can get your
Oh, there it is.
pit beef hooded sweatshirts. There we go, rocking the merch.
By the way, Tiger Shark and I are the only ones who have Talon Minerva hats, other than you.
So
Are the
anyway,
napkins still sold out?
I gotta fix that.
we got to do another run.
All the tariffs stuff keeps changing, and it's like I have to
we're
align all the products. So
we're trying to grow our own paper for the napkin. Johnny, you want to show the people the tree in East Coast?
You try to explain to the people in charge of the transport that tariffs are just a legal fiction, to ignore those?
Yes. So anyway, we're trying to grow our own paper for the napkin,
Nice.
Oh,
so that we
nice.
don't run out. And
Bonsai.
this is the mascot of the show. It's the tree in East Coast,
Tree and East Coast.
the little tree. So
Yeah.
basically, this show, we're going to be doing Biblimancy. I'm going to be inviting a bunch of my friends, and we're going to be flipping through a bunch of the books that say a lot of the nonsense that I say, but the people have PhDs or they're experts in it in one way or another. And the topic that we're talking about tonight is Mark being originally a stage play. And we're going to flip through a book that was written, I think, 2019. And I think since then, unfortunately, the writer's no longer with us. But we can let the muse deliver. So we're gonna basically go through the table of contents, one panelist at a time, and they go, "Oh, let me see what what the book says about this topic," and then we flip to that page and they read it out loud and we talk about it. And some of us are better at reading out loud than others, but before we get started, I wanted to introduce the book to the audience and to everybody. So if you want to make me on the screen, so this is the two Gospels of Mark. It's about the difference between the original play that was performed and the text that was received. And if you want to zoom in a little bit, so one of the panelists can read to the audience what the abstract. We're going to read the abstract of the book. Can anybody read that? Is that something anybody can read right now? Witch Doctor, can you read that? Is it too big? Too small?
Zoom in a little bit.
Zoom
I
in.
got it.
That's
The
what she-
origin
zoom?
of the Gospel of Mark has never
Nice.
been explained satisfactorily. The traditional Christian explanation is that Mark wrote down Peter's memoirs of his time with Jesus of Nazareth. But this explanation is now untenable because of recent scholarship has demonstrated that Mark's Jesus was a heavenly figure, not a human one. Independent scholar Danila Oder has an entirely new proposal for Mark's life situation and his purpose in writing the gospel. In The Two Gospels of Mark, Performance and Text, Oder proposes that Mark first wrote a play. The play was a journey story that ended with the Passion, an originally separate tragedy. Mark directed and acted the role of Jesus in a private performance in a Greek-style theater. Separately, Mark preserved the performance in a narrated text. He condensed the dialogue and added, holy shit, you just scrolled that so fast,
Sorry.
literary features such as chiasms, I've never heard that one out loud, and names of characters and places not spoken on stage. The second text is the ancestor of our Gospel of Mark. For most of the book, Oder takes a point of view of a director and stage manager. She analyzes the text of the gospel to reveal the underlying performance. The plot concerned Jesus' mission on earth to die and rise. Would Satan succeed in derailing him from his mission? The subplot concerned Jesus' earthly activities. Would he be able to incite the Council of Jerusalem, the Sanhedrin, to kill him? The temple incident answers that question. Oder itemizes the theatrical elements of the play, such as the lighting, the use of the theatrical space.
The lighting. See what it did there?
She discusses the characters and finds that some were added by editors. She reconstructs the action of many scenes and revises the Bethsaida section. Oder proposes that the play ended with a spectacular ascension scene. Ooh, like the Quran? Dope. An appendix to the two Gospels of Mark include a summary reconstruction action of the original play. Mark's play was written for and produced between 90 and 95 CE in Rome by his patron Flavilla Domitilia, a niece of the Emperor Domitian, for her congregation of the Jesus movement. Ooh, sounds like a dance, the Jesus movement. It is speculative to identify Flavia as Mark's patron, but her participation is consistent with the scene of the play, the anointing at Bethany. There, Jesus promises the anointing woman eternal fame, an anomaly in the world of the play. The woman never appears on stage again. But in the world of the audience, the promise of eternal fame fits as flattery of Flavia. She played the role and anointed the Jesus actor on stage. She was then applauded by the congregation for her donations to them. The Gospel of Mark is often called pro-Gentile or Pauline. Oder cautions that we should not infer that Mark's congregation was majority Gentile or that Mark had read and agreed with the letters of Paul. Flavia's patronage is sufficient to explain the pro-Gentile slant. Any doctrine expressed in the Gospel of Mark, assuming that we are looking at Mark's original text, bold assumption, only had to be acceptable to the congregation in the context of an entertainment. Oder discusses the fate of the Gospel of Mark in the secondary century and its usefulness when the Roman Church decided to reconceive the heavenly Jesus as a historical human being. Jesus of Nazareth. Beautiful, thank you. The Roman Church downplayed the life situation of the historical Mark and obfuscated the occasion for which he had written his two Gospels of Mark. The two Gospels of Mark is a telescopic view into the past. The fog of the text's origin is dispersed, and for the first time, the Gospel of Mark belongs to a specific time and place. Its date can now replace the dates of Jesus of Nazareth, 30 to 33 CE, as an anchor for studies in early Christianity. The book is written for scholars and advanced amateurs who are familiar with the Gospel of Mark and are willing to assume that Mark's Jesus was a heavenly figure. Mythicists. The book has discursive footnotes, endnotes, a bibliography, and a real index. It includes a photograph of the miniature theater that Oder built to test the movements of the actors in Mark's play.
It's pretty awesome, right? So that's just the abstract. And I think,
Yeah, that sounds dope.
dude, just alone, like that's so fucking compelling to I think everybody in the room right now. You want to?
Hey, one thing on that. Why wouldn't they do that? You know, like when you get a new job, for example, right? Let's say you're working in a new industry and you don't know anything about it. You have to train in order to speak their language, right? To speak that lingo. And it's the same thing in this situation because they're going after Gentiles, which are Greek, right? Greek and Roman.
Right.
Why wouldn't they learn stagecraft in plays? Because that's their language. That's what they know.
Yeah, and we're gonna be there's other books in the future that I'm gonna have you back to kind of go into a lot of the roles, like who the actors themselves were on stage, because a lot of these actors were slaves and traveling slaves that basically had to perform for their dinner. You know what I mean? That was how you like how you fed yourself if you were a former slave. So I think this book actually cites a couple of the books that are going to be, so this is episode 1. We're kind of testing the waters here a little bit, and we're gonna have a bibliography and a complete whole thing to of all of the books that we're going to be talking about over the course. We're going to do these, I think, bi-weekly, so every other week, or if we have somebody who is bisexual, we can do that weekly because I think. It works
I tried that. It didn't work out.
You had sex with a bicycle?
I did.
Wow.
It was very painful.
I could,
No, I'm super into this, man. The idea. So the idea of it being a stage play. When people hear it at first, they're gonna think Romeo and Juliet production type thing, and no, something along the lines of more of maybe like monologue-ish. I think you could safely say that somebody intended on reading it to a crowd of people because not everybody could read and stuff, you know. So someone's going to be pitching this right now. I don't have to give too much away, but this is perfect, even if it's not particularly true, right? But this is perfect with what I'm doing with this story.
with your book series,
Story
right?
and the aftermath, and
Yeah.
why was it being written, and how is it being delivered to the public, you know?
Right.
And someone's got to stand on a corner somewhere, as iconic as that, you know, or whatever.
Well, so it's funny that you say stand on a corner, because
Right.
one of the big, focuses on this book is that it's specifically Greek mime, which is like the what you would see in the agora when you go to the market, right? The mimes were the actors in the market that were doing all sorts of like busking, right? It's the difference between seeing somebody on a stage perform versus seeing somebody on a street corner perform with their street performance, right?
Right.
They have different,
very different.
very very different, and some of the characteristics that are demonstrated in Mark, it's the skeleton, it's the frame, it's the shape of Greek mime. Like, it's inseparable. You can't take the two apart. Otherwise, you're just left with all of the gaps that are assumed by biblical scholars. So you're making all the biblical scholar mistakes when you object to this kind of thing, or when this isn't the type of thing that biblical scholars are even trained to do. Right? Very few of them. How many of them do you think have actually participated in a stage performance or built stage pieces or anything like that? Right? I know you have a background in that, right?
They've done the Sunday school, manger scene or something like for the church around Christmas time.
Yeah.
It might have been like Julius Caesar or something, like in fourth grade, like me. That's all I've ever really done.
Right. And that's like your the type of thing that you would see at like a country fair. That's the type of like it's like it's rural, it's pagan, to a certain, like it's unsophisticated stagecraft. Whereas when you do it expertly, that's like Dionysian theater stuff, where you have the Deus Ex Machina, where you're taken and have the mechanism that makes a dramatic exit and all that shit, right? You don't have that. You don't have that. For your performance at your agricultural fair, you know what I mean, at the county fair.
We still do that down here.
Well, sometimes if you have, you can make your own by having like the tractor where you attach a rope and you kind of pull up the crane and all of that, but the crane's really really noisy, so it's it takes the effect out of the audience, and then they kind of worry about like, hey, make sure that chain doesn't snap, and they're looking at the chain and the rope rather than the
you can see the rope.
Yeah, you can see the rope. Yeah. So and like there were actually satirists back in the day that were like recognizing the hilarity and the absurdity of the Deus Ex Machina and like overusing it, and like part of the squeaks and like the shaking and all that shit was like part of the comedic effect. So that's Aristophanes' Clouds, where he's making fun of Socrates, and Socrates is in his think tank, his little bubble on his on the sky, like that guy from Mario that throws the shells out of the turtle shells out of the cloud. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Tooth Man.
Exactly. Right. So that's what Socrates is in this Aristophanes play and shit. So like, there's all this stuff that like the audience at the time would have been familiar with, that like we're so far separated from, right? So we've just had this text and only the text for, like 2,000 years, let's say, being generous, right? 2,000 years, right? All of the craft behind the text is lost, right? And it's maintained in the Greek, kinda, because like the people that wrote it down originally didn't say this was a play. Enter to the left, so and so, right? They basically recited what they watched on at the festival at the theater, right? So they
I
sat
would-
down, they watched it, and then they said to somebody, they said, witch doctor said, "Hey, Mandy, tell me about the movie you just watched," and I gave you scene for scene what I remember it being. Right? I'm gonna leave some stuff out. I'm gonna get some stuff right. It's gonna go however it goes. But there's ways of telling if I'm presenting to you a comedy or a tragedy just based on the way that the story arcs and the structures and all of that go, right?
Right, Roger.
So that's how you can tell the difference between Matthew and Mark, right? Mark is written as a comedy. Matthew is rewritten of Mark to make it a tragedy. So the differences are in the structure and evident
Okay,
in
yeah,
the
I
structure,
could.
right?
I
Now,
I can totally see what you're saying.
Matthew was never performed on stage originally, right? Matthew is a recreation from Mark. So it's one step removed
Yeah, yeah.
from the original performance, and it's made into a different genre, right? So just texturally made into a different genre.
And they
So
have
if you were to perform it
different
on
stuff.
stage, you
Look,
would be
couple of-
performing a tragedy. If you were performing Matthew, if you were performing Mark, you would be performing a comedy, right? And this book that we're going to be reading tonight, which we just read the abstract, it presents this as a basically Roman phenomenon. My difference is I think it happened in the Galilee, probably, because there were tons of theaters over there that actually go to manipulate
Galilee.
hometown. Yeah, it was that area. Like, there's theaters all over the fucking place. So this
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
probably just happened, or it could have happened in a fucking tent at, a family barbecue, right? It doesn't make a difference. It's just stylistically the way that the story is told. It has all of the shape, structure, flavor, all the smells of a stage performance that the other gospels do not have, right? And it's evident in the structure and the everything of the other gospels, with maybe the exception of Luke, because Paul is kind of like a walking, talking street performer, like Lucian was, where he was like a traveling orator and like changing stories and stuff. So it is possible that he was out there on a street corner rambling and somebody
It's
wrote
a
down
rogue
something.
specularis.
Yeah. But there's also no evidence that Paul actually physically existed, so it could have just been like, the name of a Christian or a Christian type of person running around, or like they just
I've been
said,
hearing that
fucking
with a
Paul,
lot of
and just
texts
like
lately, though.
rewrote some shit, whatever.
They got 4-H clubs in ancient Roman Palestine.
They got all sorts of shit out there, man.
All right, probably happened there, man. Everything
think
goes
it
down
did.
at the 4-H club.
It probably did happen down at the 4-H club. You know what happens in them stalls?
Oh yeah.
The manger.
That's the tapping and the food
Jesus
thing.
was born in a 4-H 4-H club.
You said-
Jesus is one of the H's, and the fucking Magi were the other 3 H's. We just figured out the fucking code.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the gay
Alright.
code where you're tapping your foot in the stall.
Oh, ew,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Your brain went there.
That's where I went.
Ugh.
Sorry, you said stalls about horses. I thought
We were talking about
stalls-
4-H and
I thought
agricultural
stall, like, going
farms.
poop. You were
Oh, and then you were like, I go poop, but also sometimes when I go poop, I solicit gay men to. That's what you're just.
not me. You're talking about Mark.
You spoke that like you had some
someone
experience.
Who isn't me. I feel you, bro. I see
No.
you.
Oh, I swear it wasn't me. I don't do that. I mean,
Y'all
the way
know
that I
each
talked about
other.
cleaning out a fucking a horse stall is like it's because I've done that. The way
Yeah.
you talked about tapping your little tut. We're gonna revisit this topic,
Yeah, this is good.
but anyway.
You are so.
People don't forget.
One of the reasons that I invited Witch Doctor to the show tonight is because he had Richard Carrier on his show, and one of the only this book is mythicism and shit, and Richard Carrier wrote a actually pretty cool little passage on it, and he basically says like. It's worth reading, whatever. Oh, you have his new book, cool. But Skobie one, if you want to scroll down to this is Richard
Where-
Carrier's
where-
blog.
where-
It's the one that says her last name here. But if you want to pull it up on screen,
I will when you tell me where to go.
yeah. I want you to pull it up on screen and then scroll down so people can see Richard Carrier's blog.
Pull it up, huh?
Yeah. So go to Richard Carrier's blog. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff. It's personally not my flavor of mythicism, but I have my own flavor. I say it's all satire, and ultimately that's what I'm trying to promote with this.
He has. I like his personality myself.
Yeah.
Watch my
This
go to my
particular
channel.
blog post is pretty cool. You can go through and see all
Yo,
the
he
other
did the Blue
mythicism.
Oyster Cult logo wrong.
He,
right?
Oh, did he?
but scroll down, Johnny. He talks about Atwell. I don't like Atwell. All the stuff that he writes about, I mostly don't like. I kind of like Dr. Bob, which he talks about. There's Dr. Bob. I want to have Dr. Bob on to talk about some of this stuff. But here we go. Odor. If anybody wants to read, if Witch Doctor, since you know this guy here, if you want to read your boy Richard Carrier's critique of this book, just so that people know I'm not trying to misrepresent. There are people that have criticism of him, and Richard Carrier is a mythicist, so let's see what he has to say about it, and ultimately a lot of the other sources and a lot of the other books that I'm going to be presenting on.
I'm glad you're even showing me
Talk
this.
about this.
I would have asked him.
Yeah, so you can read it in his own words what he has to say. I'm not going to critique him. I'm just going to say everybody knows what Richard Carrier has to say about it, and kind of just move on, so that his critique is represented. I don't hate the guy, and he was on your show, so.
Yeah, I haven't really learned who is like had him on or had feuds with who or anything like that. He came on and I kind of just interviewed him. I was like, talking about the Coast Guard and
No, his story's cool. He seems like a cool like dude.
Oh, he's a total.
I'd have a beer with him.
Other vets that go off to do.
It's just
cool.
It's just his book made being a mythicist like basically look like a flat earther, unfortunately. And I'm like, this flavor of it, there's nothing flat earth about it. Like, this is fucking almost undeniable. Like, even if you say, oh well, he might have still been a guy. All right, well, fucking whatever. Now you know how the fuking stage play was written.
Go ahead
and performed.
Can you make it bigger?
Zoom in a little bit on it so that we can.
Yeah. No, I thought I had a.
And I'm throwing all of this at you guys. None of you have read this yet, so I'm throwing we're doing a little bit of the gluten-free bread and circus here, the bibliomancy. I'm throwing this text at you, and Witch Doctor hasn't read this, so take it away, buddy.
Okay, so it's an odor. I actually include vanilla odors among the good chapters. I explain why in my review, but I also mentioned there are caveats, and I'd like to say more than that. Her overall thesis, I explain in the review, is that the Gospel of Mark was originally composed as a play to convey the message of the gospel, small g, rather than to relate anything anyone actually thought happened. And she adds that there's some additional assertions about who commissioned it that are more crank in the main body of her thesis, but on her main thesis doesn't depend. Her approach has the merit of making clear, usually when she's speculating and when she is asserting a fact. So even when it goes off the reservation, even a lay reader is signaled to know what that might be happening. So Odor's thesis has been attempted before. She cites previous, indeed peer-reviewed scholarship on the possibility that Mark was composed for dramatic reading, on which we know that Ad Thomas Burmershire's first century gospel storytellers and audiences, the Gospel of Performance Literature, Cascade 2022. But she rightly notes this is not exactly the same thing as her thesis. And on that point, she does cite that many scholars who have suggested that there might be a stage play behind the text, but without develop. Oh, okay. So this has been talked about for a minute. Okay,
yeah,
but
it's not a new thing.
I just started hearing this from you and Tiger like a month ago or so. First time, first go round. But her actual thesis in generalities, not particulars, was previously advanced as more than a passage suggestion by another amateur. Gary Courtney in his self-published book "Itu Judas, the Fall Jesus," then Fall Jesus, okay, 2004, which I even cite in my peer review on the historicity of Jesus as one of the few amateur efforts to warrant attention. Even though I am ultimately, again, not persuaded. There are two main reasons. One, Mark is not formatted like a play, and we have countless plays from the ancient world to compare it to. And the thesis that it ever had been done does not explain earlier Christian writings of Paul, Hebrews, 1 Clement, and even 1 Peter, or the origins of Christianity. So without more evidence than there is, the thesis can never rise beyond an unproductive maybe. But at the top of these same defects, Oder throws in conclusions wildly beyond any evidence to prove that Mark's play was performed in Greek style, two-level theater in Rome, 90s CE. Not a single one of those claims is backed by any evidence, and that it was funded by Flavia Domitilla, niece of the Emperor Domitian. And Domitian forced into exile for being a Jewish sympathizer, and this possibly even event leading to assassinations. But there was no actual connection between Domitilian Christianity or Roman Jewish catacombs either, I should add. That entirely fabrication of mythographers centuries later. And even in the event, there was no evidence of her funding a play at all, much less in this one. There is also no evidence that this play was performed only in private to select persons, and so on. In short, Oder is hugely overstepping what any evidence can establish. Had she not done that, she would have something at least plausible to recommend that Mark's intent might have been related to an effort at constructing a passion play, as we know exists for similar religions such as the cult of Romulus, and who had annual passion plays performed in public. Now that's kind of how my brain thought of it,
Right.
something like that.
Right.
This isn't ridiculous to suspect. It just lacks adequate evidence to confidently affirm. Sorry. Nevertheless, Oder's chapter is an example of how to do this sort of thing correctly. She does not conceal evidence against what she says. She makes clear to the reader that when she is speculating and when she has evidence for some assertion and what the evidence is. She relies on up-to-date scholarship, and all her ridiculous claims, such as I've surveyed, aren't essential to her thesis, and thus, even once purged them, we still have an argument left over worth the time considering. Even her methodology is sound, but for her disregard of the logical role of evidence in establishing conclusion probability, and yet even that is self-evident to any reader and thus won't mislead. Her failures of logic are transparent and thus accessible to anyone reading her case. Unlike many other chapters in the book, for example, Oder is aware of the problem that our text of Mark is not formatted as a play. She proposes that it is a literary redaction of original formatted play. This complicates her thesis and reverts it back to speculation, and there's no evidence of this reformatting. But this at least indicates she knows what she's talking about. You know what's great is I could totally use this because the guy who I say writes the stage play, he ain't a stage writer. He has a whole different job before this happened, but he knew how to write. He was there's more, but anyway. Likewise, when Oder lists, wait, I'm on the next one, right? Where am I at?
I thought so, Harry.
Assumption in reading circular. Am I just right there? Likewise, when Oder lists makers underlying theatrical basis for a text mark, any reader and those markers could be there for other reasons, and it is true that there is no evidence to prove either reason more likely. So one's assessment has to be made on other factors. And when she openly describes her methodology, assuming marks based on a play, then chucking everything in the text that doesn't match, even the ordering of events as later literary embellishment, and seeing if what's left matches her assumption. Any reader can tell this is circular. Sorry. It essentially cannot fail to get the result she wants. It would have this result for any text that shares any features in common with playwriting, whether actually based on a play or not. The circular methodology is actually quite common among serious mainstream Jesus scholarship too. So Oder is actually in good company here. It's still fallacious. Indeed, in some places, her mistakes could even be corrected by an expert in her favor. For example, at one point, Oder says that she thought it plausible the play would be performed in a private residence of a wealthy patron. And this is plausible once you grant all her assumptions, but rejected that conclusion for multi-level theater because a private residence cannot provide a location for an upper room scene. Enacting the Last Supper, in actual fact, it could. A wealthy patron's villa in Rome at the time could easily have a 2-story atrium more than adequate to serve. But this is just a plausibility of speculation for which there is inadequate evidence, not a confident conclusion anyone can reach. There are too many underlying premises here that lack justification that it was ever a play, that it was funded by a wealthy patron, and so on. Overall, this chapter is rewarding to read, but ultimately doesn't land.
So, I mean, with all due respect, there's a bunch that I kind of said before that I agree with in here. Like, there's speculation and all sorts of stuff, but I think other scholars that I'm going to bring to future episodes of this show reinforce all of the criticisms and provide evidence to fill those gaps that Carrier's looking for. So basically, that's I just wanted to put context into this book that we're about to, with all due respect, that's disrespect. We're gonna do some bibliomancy to the book here. Before we get started, Sirius, you got anything you want to add to what you just heard about
Absolutely.
what do you
I have a
think?
bone to
Anything
pick.
jumping?
I have a bone to pick with saying that it's not a stage play based on the form that it's presented to us in right now. One of my most hated experiences I ever had was, the Chronicles of Riddick franchise, right? That fun sci-fi. So I was a kid. I liked sci-fi. I'd seen Pitch Black. I'm in the like bookstore looking at all the different books I can purchase, and there's a Pitch Black book. Oh shit! So that must mean this is like Dune or something, and it has some kind of like deep lore to it. I buy the book. I read the first two chapters, and I can't even get the characters' names right. But it was not written like it was a script. It was written like a constructed novel narrative. And anybody not aware of the movies could have bought that book and been like, "Oh shit, this is the a priori version of this thing," which would totally ruin some of the. It's a really bad sci-fi movie. I don't want to call it like literature, literary like hooks. You know, the drama, the tension, irony, things like that. The book just got rid of all of that and stuck to a plot narrative. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't originally a movie, a script, with instructions on we have to have the scene set up like this, with the lighting set up like this. Make sure you have sound guy do these chords instead of those chords, because nobody wants to hear ya da 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 when the lights go off and start flickering. Breaks tension.
Basic basic stagecraft, right? I mean,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is stuff that any performer, would, if any performer would recognize in another performer doing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
I got a
But my
couple
point
things
is,
to
just
add
because you
to it.
don't see that in the version that we're seeing now, doesn't mean it wasn't written in originally, and then reinterpreted later.
Yeah, there's things that are lost from stage to page.
Absolutely.
And scholars have done the work to describe the difference between stage to page, right? And the stage to page, what is maintained is the structure, right? You can't take the structure of the what's on done on stage and interrupt it on the page. Otherwise, you lose the entire narrative, and it becomes a different form. It becomes a different genre if you end up slicing it up like that, right? And if the only text that you're familiar with, the only thing that you're familiar with is the book, and then you see it on the stage or on the screen, you're going to notice the things that are different from the book and the screen, right? Almost everybody's had that experience of reading a book and then seeing the movie, and there's the old meme, the book was better, right?
No,
Not
but not in this
always.
case.
It's not always, right? That's not always, right? So basically what we're saying is that, like, this is one of those situations where what happened on the
Hmm.
stage is better than what happens on page, right? And
Absolutely.
we know what kind of thing was happening on that stage because of the form that the words and the squiggly lines take, right? Takes the form and the shape of a Greek comedy that was performed by mimes.
Yeah, and they were just retelling the mythos story, right, in their own way and adding comedic flavor to it. But I have a couple things to add to this. And Carrier,
Yeah.
I don't think has done. I mean, this is surface level stuff, and yeah, I mean, I'm not going to make opinions about the guy. I'll let people do that themselves. But Acts 18:3, Paul is literally described, and a lot of people say he's a tent builder. But if you look at the Greek word for that, and I'm no Greek person, but sken skenaipios, let's just say it's that.
Clip it.
Um,
Oh, okay.
basically, that is a term for what they're calling tent builder in like the KGV, King James version. But
That
that
sounds
term
like
is
a dude who
also,
works in theater.
yeah, it's also a term that refers to a stage scenery for theaters. and
Yeah,
it's
like a
given.
stagehand.
It's actually somebody that builds the stages.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So if you're not even capable of understanding, like just looking at this stuff, you're going to miss a lot. And then on top of that, we're most of these books we all know, right? Even the Christian scholars say, well, we know Paul didn't write, several of these books that were acclaimed to him, but it always says like the Song of Solomon, the Wisdom of Solomon. We found a fragment, and what did that fragment say? Because everybody attributed Solomon as the author. It said the friends of Solomon wrote this. Where else do we see that? Fucking Socrates. Everything we know about Socrates are from the friends of Socrates. This is the same shit that's happened over and over again through Greek fucking culture. Okay.
Agreed.
We
And
all
so
know
none of this shit.
what Nietzsche had to say about Socrates. Nietzsche said that Socrates was a clown that convinced people to take him seriously. And he said that Plato was doing a very, very bad job at doing Menippean satire. Because Plato trained with, he trained in Alexandria. So he was removed to a certain degree from the directionality of the satire. Most of the satire stuff came out of Anatolia and worked its way to Egypt, not usually the other way around, if you look at the stagecraft and such. So they had a different tradition that they were doing. And Menippus, being one of these traveling cynics, kind of perfected the mixing of it. The satire of it was the mixing. So basically, what Nietzsche's kind of critiquing Plato here is saying that he's the rich man's Menippus. He's doing a very shitty job at doing Menippus. It's not authentic Menippean satire because it's not for the common man like Menippus was doing. And a lot of these stage performances, they were done on the street. Sometimes they were done in little tents at festivals, right? You went from one tent to another to look at these little stages. They all
Well,
were.
the only other option would be if Richard Carrier was to say no to that. The only other option would be that he was following the Roman legions around, building tents for them. And no, we all know he wasn't doing that. So there's really not a lot of options outside of that. And then the other example would be Pythagoras. Everything we know about him too is from the Frenzo, and it's just a cultural thing through Greek and Roman writing that we know that these were, and they just continue that on. I mean, it's no different.
The thing that I love that you brought up the fact that like a tent maker was an occupation then. Basically, one of the things that I like to say about Pythagoras, Pythagoras he lectured from behind a curtain, but somebody had to hang the curtain, somebody had to weave the curtain, right? There's material behind this stuff, right? And I coined, shout out to Snappy, like Snappy coined penned the phrase originally. The inspiration for that was somebody had to hang Pythagoras' curtain, right? So I'm more interested in that person than I am Pythagoras, right? That person hung so many curtains for so many other people, right? Like Pythagoras spoke for a few people, and like some of his nerdy friends wrote it down, but that curtain maker was making curtains, and those curtains spread far and wide, right? And that's more interesting to me. And the performances, like that person hung the curtains for performances all over the place, right? They were more familiar with stagecraft than somebody who was just growing up in Athens and only seeing that particular style and only seeing that particular agora. They didn't know that the way other agoras, buskers played things and such, right? They weren't doing the mixing, that Dionysian mixing that is so important to satire and satura. And it's hard for people to grasp that, like that anthropology behind it and that history behind it, because you sound like a crazy person when you're going at that level and saying, oh yeah, I've got a text that says this stuff goes back 12,000 years, right? And it's like from 12,000 years ago to dancing around a maypole and like having a little tent to having huge Dionysian theaters, like, oh yeah, that's all. It's one single thread. That thread's called the Towel of Minerva, right? So I want to get started, like actually going into the actual book itself, and each of us, the three of y'all, can take a look at the table of context and tell Skobie 1 to stop, and we'll open to that page and take a look at what this book actually has to say about that thing that the muse delivered. So again, this is bibliomancy, so we're letting the muse deliver.
What is going on here?
Did you go the wrong direction?
No.
Oh, you gotta, Jen,
What?
zoom back out. There's one that has you see those 4 blocks here? See that?
Oh, that thing, huh?
Yeah. And then you got that one that makes it full screen.
Hey.
Yeah, there you go.
What's up, girl?
Nice. Hey, look at us.
Technology.
We're figuring out how to do this.
Yeah.
So scroll up to the table of context, and y'all 3 are gonna take a look, kind of look through, and when the muse delivers something to you, say, "Oh, hey, stop," and then we'll flip over to that page that's on the thing there, and just scroll slowly, and if there's anything that jumps out to you, just let her deliver. In the meantime, I'm gonna take a.
I don't know.
here.
You should go check out definitions before you scroll any.
Ooh, definitions.
Yeah, definitions.
How do we define things? Let's see
Exactly.
let's see what the definitions have to say.
I think that was
See-
XXII.
It's XXX something. XXX Tentacion. That was a rapper, right? Did I do that one right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Definitions.
Oh, yeah,
They're
he
there.
almost got killed near us.
XXII. I think he
didn't-
died, didn't he?
No, they wanted to kill him. At
All right,
the
scroll down to the
casino.
definitions. Let's see what the muse has
Oh,
to say
so they
about
cloned
definitions.
him.
Definitions XXII.
Yeah. The
XX and Tashion.
Yeah, that's the joke I just made.
Yeah. We should repeat it again.
If you do it 3 times, it's funny.
XXX Tashion.
Look at us. We did the joke 3 times.
She
That
just
makes
died.
it funny.
Wow.
What definitions are we looking at?
I have no idea.
Well, that's
We're
how
at
we do.
introduction.
We gotta get to the definition.
Yeah, we gotta get there. This is.
I think you missed the
We
exact pages.
we
You
are
scrolled too
past
fast.
the definitions.
scrolled
We
too
are no
fast.
longer
No, I.
we are no
scroll back.
longer in Roman.
Which is the XXIIs.
Aye, aye.
XX, triple I.
I3s, I1s.
Oh, one down.
It,
Definitions.
Bro, I think it jumps. It went from 1 to 3.
Oh, check it out. Definitions.
1 to 3. So it's missing the definitions.
You're scrolling right past that page right
Scrolling
there.
past it. We're looking right at it.
This is 3.
Yes.
Okay.
I love you, Skobie.
Go
My
up.
bad, man. It's
Go
been
up
a
one
long
page.
day.
Go up one page. That's the page that we were. See that? XXII. If you scrolled a little bit up, the
God
tiny little
means
bit up.
Yahweh, the transcendent
Oh.
deity
See,
of
nobody
Judean
tells-
culture.
there.
Nobody tell
So,
Nas to conform with
style
that.
notes. Definitions. Look at that. Look at that. See, definitions. The gospel means the gospel of Mark. So when you go through the book,
Isn't the transcendent
word's-
deity
yes.
platonic?
go down, go down, go down, go down, go down. That's a footnote. Go down. These are the definitions.
Yeah.
There we go.
Scripture.
They are not labeled very well. Who wrote this?
It's okay, Johnny. Just-
Danila Oder, I believe.
Well, you should be like definition 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no bullet points. It's just.
It's not a dictionary.
It's not.
All right.
We'll let her know your critique.
I don't know anything about this shit.
We'll let her know your critique. Anyway, serious. Did the muse deliver anything?
Let's see.
Yeah.
You're so Apollonian. It's amazing, Johnny. I love it.
Hey, listen, man.
The terms Jesus and Jesus figure mean the Jesus of the Nazarene, not Jesus Christ. Interesting. So we must keep that in mind. Anytime she's saying Jesus or the Jesus figure, she's specifically not referring to Jesus Christ, the later mythological figure.
Interesting. And then you have the Jesus movement, which is either some sort of a dance or a bowel movement. As we
What?
Why not
that was
both?
our-
Que no los dos.
it might
Hey,
be, but
that's
maybe she
Gary
doesn't.
V. Why not both?
Maybe she doesn't consider it. Does she say that the Jesus movement is a bowel movement or a dance rhythm?
Why not both?
It's all persons. Oh.
Oh, it's people.
Oh, I know that everybody poops.
Everybody does poop.
Girls don't.
I read that book.
I was told that by a rapper, so
Do you know the Jesus cult that worshipped poop?
no.
They're the Borberites. The poop
What?
eaters. They worship the poop. They eat the poop.
They would eat poop.
They eat the dookie.
Was it frozen poop?
Those were the Hyperborean Borborites.
yeah.
It's just really, really hard to say. A Hyperborean Borborite eat poop stickles.
Poop
That was the joke I was setting up, but you kind of jumped on that one. The Muse delivered that one to you, Johnny. All right, let's go back to the table of context and see if the Muse delivers anything to Tiger Shark here. All right. We're gonna start from the tippy. And we're gonna work our way slowly
Down the shaft, right?
Slowly down the shaft.
I don't think there's another way.
We're gonna start from the tip. We're gonna roll the
Go
skin back a
to
little
page
bit.
74. I'll take page 74.
Oh,
Page
page 74.
74.
Ooh. Okay, it says, "Oh my God, look at what she delivered." Page 74. We're gonna look at this naked young man.
Naked young men.
Naked young man. Go to page 70. There you go, Johnny.
Is
We're gonna see
YouTube
what-
okay with that?
I mean, I
Probably
think
not.
there's another guy that has that's bald headed and has tattoos on his head and hollers into a microphone about this particular passage. So
Right,
maybe
right,
let's see
right.
what this, and you know my theory about this naked young man. It's not a the Neoniskos is a pun, right? The Neoniskos is
Yeah.
a dwarf. It was the Dionysian.
Yeah, it's P.T. Barnum.
It's the dwarf. It's the little Priapus. With the dwarf with the it's a right.
The beautiful thing about
74.
Listen, the beautiful thing about PDFs is they never line up. 70.
1,
See how the
70,
page number is
72,
off?
73,
The thing about PDFs is they never land on the right
74.
file.
Oh,
74, and then we
What?
scroll down to the. Hey, let's
God,
take
we
a
are
look.
really talking about
Oh.
PDFs with PDFs right here. Huh?
Thank you, Muse. What did the Muse have to say? What did she deliver? What does this book have to say about how this was performed on stage?
All right, let's go. The naked young man. When Jesus is arrested in Gethsemane, a certain young man was following him wearing nothing but a linen cloth. They caught hold of him, but he left the linen cloth and ran off naked. That would be Mark 14:51-52. When and how did this actor enter the stage? He is not one of the 12. He is not one of the Judean multitudes. They are not present during the arrest scene. He does not enter behind the arrest party, which crosses the stage from stage left to stage right. He is not hiding behind the trees in the Gethsemane set. Therefore, he must enter from the country via the Perigos stage right. Perhaps he is entering as the three flee, and that is how he realizes that Jesus is nearby. He advances onto the stage where he encounters the arrest party. Is this actor already known to the audience? He must be, because there is no time in the scene for him to be introduced to the audience, and they need to know why he tries to follow Jesus. I propose that this actor is the healed what is that?
I don't know what that word is.
Gerasene demoniac.
Gerasene demoniac.
That's the
Here
kid-
are
that's
my
the-
reasons.
That's the guy in the garden, or sorry, the.
Oh, that's the one
cemetery.
that's like cutting himself in the cemetery?
in the cemetery, hooting and hollering, naked.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Here are my reasons. First, the audience has seen the healed demoniac proclaim how much Jesus had done for him. 5:20. The healed demoniac is now pro-Jesus, and we may assume he will want to see Jesus again. Second, the scene is set, and Gerasa begins. The scene begins with the demoniac less than fully clothed. We know this because after Jesus heals him, he is clothed and in his right mind. Oh, that's interesting. I never caught on to that before. It is at least possible that clothed means that he is now wearing a linen cloth and wrapped in a himation. What is that?
Good word. I don't know. I think you got
If so, the healed demoniac's loss of his loincloth and himation during the arrest scene, whatever. I can't read tonight. I'm sorry, guys. Returns him to his original condition. Third, the audience has already seen the demoniac actor naked and nearly naked. So his sudden nakedness does not seem gratuitous as it might for a new actor. Fourth, his scuffle and flight and act is physical comedy. I have proposed that the actor who played the Gerasene demoniac was a guest star comic actor. That's interesting. The arrest scene gives him a second appearance on stage. Fifth, the actor who plays the naked young man should be, like the demoniac, an uncircumcised Gentile. We know he is not circumcised because Gethsemane is stage right, as is Gentile Gerasa and Bethsaida. Only Gentile characters have entered from the Parados stage right. Why does Mark create the seizure, stripping, and flight of a minor character during the arrest scene? I will answer here only from the point of view of the playwright. First, the scuffle and subsequent flight and dramatic value to the arrest scene. Second, the actor's sudden nakedness and comedic flight hold the audience's attention while the set is changed to the house of the high priest, lower stage, and the praetorium, upper stage. Third, if I am correct that this actor was the healed demoniac guest star, this scene gives him a second appearance before the audience.
So, everybody knows comedy comes in threes.
Correct.
This character comes again. It's the Neoniskos that's in the tomb when it's rolled back. So you have that structure of having the same character 3 times, and there's a progression that you see. Fully naked, naked, semi-naked, and then the towel falls off, and the uncircumcised massive dong is revealed, and then you see the character fully clothed in the tomb, no massive flapping dong.
Right.
It's comedy, right? That thing's flapping in the wind when he's running away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's an interesting interpretation that some people have about exactly what epikuno means, where it's wrapped around the penis. That's also stagecraft. It's called a dog tie. All right, you see it in all sorts of things. It's the infibulation wrapping. It's called a dog tie. You can Google it, and there's a graphic penis that is dog tied on the Wikipedia, and I'm not going to pull it up because we're going to get pulled off for that. Witch Doctor. Anything that you gotta say about this particular passage about some of the stagecraft that's being explained here?
It's really interesting for sure. I hate to use that word because it means you don't have a very good opinion on it, but but I think it's really cool. I can see everything that they're trying to say for sure. I'm definitely going to use a little bit of this, but probably not as far as she's going, but I'll make it work in a way that I want it to, because I guess this is awesome, but I mean, who the heck would even, you know what I mean? Like the average person you talk to, it'd be so hard to convince them that there's a possibility of this being written as a play. But if you said, like I said, if you say like, oh, it was made to be like presented, or something, I think they all agree with that. But then once we start talking about like the cloth being tied around the things and whatnot, it's like, oh
Yeah.
man.
But that's all stuff that is present in these stage plays. That's common stuff. The dog tie, wrapping that gland so that there's no turtle head poking out.
Right.
That that's common practice. You
I've
also
never heard it.
It's common practice.
We still
man.
do
You
that
can-
today.
You can Google Greek dog ties. I'm telling you, I'm not gonna do it on this show.
I
I'm not getting episode 1 pulled off YouTube this early. Serious, you got anything to say about dog ties?
About dog ties?
Dog star over there. Not specifically dog ties. I was just tossing it to you because we were just talking about dog ties.
It's
Sounds
funny.
right. That sounds
Serious.
gross.
Oh yeah,
Dogs.
I keep
I
my
know
dogs
that.
tied.
You got your dogs tied. They got them on. You got a leash on your dogs.
No man, I live out in the boonies. We let them run wild,
Oh, and they're flapping
Ow.
in the wind. Let them puppies howl at
flapping in the
moon.
wind.
Oh man, them
But
puppies
yeah,
are...
we still do short guy and big penis jokes today.
right.
You know, like how many times did you laugh when Mini Me leaned forward and didn't fall over?
Yep.
Exactly, dude.
It's like-
It's the same joke. It's been happening.
I haven't watched Game of Thrones, but I know they got a dwarf in there, and he's got to do that joke at least once in the show.
He does. I know a couple of short guys with big
Boom.
lungs.
And one of the things that I that I've been saying for a long time. Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good one. Check it out. This one's so much fun. It goes from Diogenes
Oh, nice.
Diogenes
That's fun.
to Dionysus. Diogenes,
Nice.
Dionysus,
Dong.
Diogenes.
His dong is way bigger
Dionysus.
than his leg.
But anyway, You know,
Reminds me of all the South American sculptures my mom has.
I like how it gets
Do you know where
very
that's
narrow
from?
right there at the groin, and then gets big.
This is from a flea market in Hawaii. My wife bought
Hawaii.
this.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
hey, take a look at that. It's almost like I know what I'm talking about. To prevent
Wow.
the
This
Thank
strip.
you,
exposure of the
Modern
glands
Manoir.
in public.
turned her off while we're reading.
So Mandy,
Yeah.
I got a question to
See?
you.
Karaoke
So
is
It was the continuation.
so could that
modern
actor
Manoir
be
always
Bam.
does.
could that actor be a child and then also a dwarf at the same time? Like, could they have different characters subbing in at different times? Like a dwarf just acts as a child because he's small anyway.
Yeah,
Why not?
dwarfs. They played the characters. They played the characters of children on stage. So if there was a child role, they played a character. They played a child role. If you read,
But what's up with the Phrygian caps? Has that got any significance, or is it just
it depends on the context. It has. I mean, everything's got significance. They wouldn't have, wasted the ink on to paint the, to paint the stuff. It didn't have significance.
because they? So the reason I asked, so in the scene where the demoniac is cutting himself, right?
Yeah.
And
In the
in some of the
cemetery, yeah.
artwork in the cemetery, but some of the artwork that you posted before shows that character as a midget dwarf with a Phrygian cap on. The Phrygians were known to do self mutilation.
Sure.
So that's a little bit of historical stuff tying together, right? If he's sitting there
Sure.
cutting himself, he's kind of doing self mutilation, right?
Well, I mean, you can
I mean,
see
you could.
the circumcision that comes back from Kronos, cutting, doing that. So this stuff was acted on stage, right? A lot of these like vase paintings and stuff like that we have in the historical record, a lot of that stuff is actually scenes that are depicted on stage and then they're painted, right? So it would be the type of like souvenir that you would have after the festival. You would go into the market and go, oh, we saw that play, and then take the pot home and then put the pot, and that it had this scene, right? That's where a lot of this stuff, there was collectibles, and they're actually depictions of of scenes. I don't know why it's so hard and like controversial for people to grasp this, but like it makes so much sense than some of the other theories about what's going on with this particular character, and the particular type of mythicist that I'm a Ruckian mythicist. So I say there's a pun that you haven't smelled yet, right? The pun is that the Nianiskos, that's a stage instruction for the type of person that was supposed to perform this character, right? The type of actor. It was a little person, a little guy, a dwarf, right? A little guy, probably between the ages of whatever that age range is, but it's a little guy. It's the Nianiskos. It's not a child. And according to Aristotle said that children were dwarves, or dwarves were children. So, it was common for this type of thing to happen on stage. Do we want to see if the muse will deliver anything else with the book? We can flip through the table of context and have a witch doctor pull something out. Is the audio still working? I can't hear any of you guys. Make some noise.
Yeah.
Squeak that chicken.
Noise,
Is it chicken
loudness.
Those chickens squeak? Hell yeah.
They've been there the whole time, been real quiet.
Hell yeah. Those are the guest
Kids
stars
asleep,
that
man.
are, if you're a fan of this universe and you've heard the Alabastrum's demo, then the music video for that it's a ritual that's taking place, and those chickens are reenacting that ritual.
That's chapter 1.
If chickens could talk, man.
Okay,
I got a
back
lot
at
of
the table of context.
All of it?
You got a lot of
Yeah.
chickens?
Yeah,
Yeah, I got like 40.
You got
All right.
40? Oh, damn.
pull it
40
up on
chickens?
the screen. Let's see if
We pull
if-
Don't
at
eat
least
chicken, bro.
12 eggs off the ground a day. At least.
Nice.
all right.
No, that's great.
Witch doctor, can you see the screen? Is that too big or too small?
Yeah, I can see it.
It's just right. It's the Goldilocks. All right, let's see if the muse will deliver something you can let her scroll through, and you don't have to take the first one. You can let her deliver the second or the third. Just anything that jumps out at you. Let's scroll over to that page and take a look and see what this book has to say about it. Throw a couple Cerberuses in the chat if y'all are having fun and enjoying episode 1 of Gluten-Free Bread and Circus. This is great radio.
Best radio ever.
I'm
You see,
trying
the
to
thing is
find
that-
something.
You know,
no.
that
See,
composition.
the thing is that we were basking in the irony of the silence. I have this
Once in a while.
belief that our culture is irony deficient.
I agree.
So part of the irony.
You know any
is
blacksmiths?
Letting this. I know
Well, then that's your
friend,
fault.
My friend Rodney Smith.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's black.
Yeah. Why don't you just get him to make you some ironies?
Want me to go back through it?
Yeah, scroll up.
Yeah, you can scroll up.
Okay.
I can
Scroll
pick
up.
something.
Oh, you see-
Appendices.
one
Oh
of the-
crap!
yeah,
I'm
one of the-
supposed
I
to
wanted
have
show
more
you
than
the
one.
appendix. There's appendixes, and it's got pictures
You
of
wanna
the
read
screens.
the appendix?
No, I'm saying, if you want to get an appendicitis, we can do that.
I can't get it again. Mine's gone.
Oh, that's how that works. You can't get it twice.
Oh.
Yeah, mine,
It's like
mine got
AIDS.
cut out. Yep.
Oh, cool.
You better.
Maybe I
you've been
could get it
tapping her-
then.
You've been tapping her a little couple 2
So-
minute stalls.
Go to the bottom of that page. I want to see Mark outside Rome.
Ooh, okay. What does that have
Mark
to say?
outside
What page is
Rome.
that says
47.
Cool. That's the 2nd century, the context that we're looking at. So page 147, Johnny.
That's
And if you go
under
to this one here,
9,000.
Boom, that one there, and then you scroll up. You can scroll up faster.
Crazy.
Yeah,
know that,
look how
but
much
it's
quicker.
not- it's not
Yeah.
perfect, though.
I know, and then you can get close to it quicker. Do you remember what page it was?
Ah.
147. Yes.
I think we went too far.
Maybe went too far.
Try now.
Ooh,
It's
right
still-
there.
So in my books,
So close.
for the audience
scroll it
that
up.
hasn't checked it out, in Secundus,
Secundus.
Second Born
Number 2.
series,
Number 2.
the Bibles are
Number
written
2.
by former spectulors from the Roman army. But they're scribes, and Secundus is related to them. And Secundus is a guy who actually meets Jesus. But I won't say too much because there's some M. Night Shyamalan things in there, some twists and turns that y'all probably, have heard. But it's put together differently, for sure.
I've been trying to figure out if this Niskos has any twists and turns, or if it's the gravity thing where it really affects the shape of the phallus.
In my book, he is the rich young
you
ruler
talk
from
about the
Turkey.
curve in the Niskos' penis in your book.
Whoa.
Oh,
No.
is it to the left or right?
Is
Yeah,
it up
no,
or
the
is it down?
Nianiscos
It depends on the
in-
wind. It depends on
in
the
mine
wind.
is
Right.
the Neanias from earlier in the story, the rich young ruler that was like, what do I need to do to, get into the kingdom? And she's like, yeah, give away all your shit. He's like, and he leaves all frustrated. And then later that day, there's a Neaniskos in the garden. I'm just saying that it's 2 different writers. Right now in the story, there's 3 writers for Mark. So one guy writes Neanias one day, and then a week later they're writing the next, and that's, a different guy's writing it, and he writes Neaniskos, and it's just that way from the first, paper napkin, if you will, of papyri that we have to this day. We have just fragments of the earlier stuff, right? So these are just like these are guys that don't know shit about stage plays anyway.
Right.
They don't know anything. They're freaking gladiator instructors.
Yeah, that context is
Lords
lost on them, right?
and legionnaires and stuff, but they can write, because they're just, these particular guys just can. This particular family just knew how to. The dad had passed it along. They have copies of a couple of different, like they obviously Homer. So when they're writing the Bibles or when they're writing Mark, the only reference that like the Marcus, the oldest son, when he grew up, that he had Homer, and then a couple of other things as well. They'll have other crap that y'all have never heard of. I make up just for the story, you know. But that's kind of not even too far off from what this author's saying. Obviously, she was saying that it's missing some little bit of that, I guess, stage direction and whatnot. She keeps saying stage right though. I don't understand.
Well, so the point is that you go back and you read the whole book cover to cover instead of us flipping through and letting the muse deliver. The point is to ask those questions and to go, I wonder if she says anything about that, and go find it later. You know what I mean? And I'm sure all of these questions are answered. And I read the book and I remember her giving pretty explicit like directions on like culturally, at the time where certain characters were entered and having justifications for that sort of thing. So, it's, if you had questions, go back and read the book and take a look. So we pulled up to the page here that you wanted, Johnny. Is that too big or too small? Do you need to zoom in? Can you see?
I can read that.
Okay, all right.
We got Mark
Witch
outside
Doctor, take it
Rome.
from the tip.
Yeah, Mark outside Rome. So this is what I'm interested in, is how it transpired through everywhere else. The Coptic Orthodox Church of Alexandria traces its founding to Mark, but Orthodox sect I just can't see it very well, did not have a significant presence in Egypt through the 2nd century. The Catholic Encyclopedia notes during the first 2 centuries of the era, though Egypt enjoyed unusual quiet, little is known of the ecclesiastical history of its chief. See, beyond a barren list of the names of its patriarchs. The Orthodox Church Fathers of Alexandria, Clement of Alexandria, 150 to 215 Common Era, and Origen, 184 to 253 Common Era, do not mention Mark. How did Mark come to be associated with Egypt? Question mark. All right, so Walter Bauer suggests there is some reason to suppose that Rome placed it at the disposal of the Orthodox Alexandria to figure of Marcus, founder of the church and apostolic initiator of the traditional succession of bishops. At all events, it is not easy to imagine from the other sources he could have come. If presentation in this book of Mark's life situation is correct, Mark was firmly identified with Rome, but at some point the Roman congregants' loyalties to Mark's memory had faded, and they could recast him as needed. Thus, new version of Mark needed to be credited only to the Orthodox congregants of Alexandria, not to all Christians in Egypt or in Rome. Elsewhere in Christendom, only one major pre-modern building is named for Mark, St. Mark's Basilica in Venice. This church was so named because 828 Common Era merchants from Venice stole purported relics of Mark from Alexandria, and church was built to house the relics, then rebuilt and enlarged in the Middle Ages. Oh, cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. That works with what I'm doing for sure.
Interesting stuff, right?
Will
Yeah,
you
I
scroll
guess-
down to the footnote 104 at the bottom of the page? Where the hell did footnote go?
Oh, it was on the, yeah.
Oh man, those feet are so stinky.
There it is. This
There's
one?
them toes.
No.
Is that the one?
No. Okay, so that must be like a end of book note.
Oh, interesting.
Don't worry about that then.
Okay.
Probably too hard to track down
Let's
unless
go
you
through
use Control F.
I got
So,
something to add here.
Do you remember
to,
the footnote?
Well, it was 104.
search is. You see the little scroll. You see this little search. That's the little magnifying glass there in the corner, Johnny.
What's
Next-
up?
Right there, under there,
Oh,
right there.
I'm-
See it? See it? And then you do 104.
Well, it's also.
I don't know. Let's see what
Why-
happens. There's
why is
probably
it
there's
not
only
on
so
the
many. There's
PDF?
only 6 times. Okay, scroll down.
So it's probably gonna be like one of the last ones.
Which page were we on?
Okay,
is
that's
it
just
Bauer?
it.
Bauer,
Yeah,
Egypt
Bauer.
Orthodoxy.
Uh-huh.
The number for the page.
60.
All right.
Huh.
Hold it there while I take a picture of that real fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
snap it.
Doop.
Boom. Thank you.
Ain't it fun reading books? I scroll through all those footnotes all the time. Like most of the stuff that when I read books, I'm looking for the footnotes and then like going and reading that stuff and having to come back to the book and all that shit. Because like I'm
Mhm.
like, fuck, I don't know enough of the context.
Half the time I
I'm
find
gonna.
shit that's like got one copy in the Ashmolean library and I get stalled.
I know, right?
You
All
know,
right, let's.
you know who never has footnotes?
Who?
Jimmy Corsetti.
Nah, he sucks. Fuck that guy.
Hang on, let me jump in here and make a comment
Oh
from
yeah,
what
tell your
Rich
side. What do
Doctor
you got
was
to
saying.
What do you
Go
got to
right
say
ahead.
about Mark
So
outside
to his comment
outside of Rome?
about the writers potentially being three different people. So one thing I was looking at, I think earlier this week, and I just pulled it up here, was the Romans invented a system for shorthand note taking. It's called the Tironian Notes, and it was invented by Marcus Tullius Turio, who was the formerly enslaved secretary and close friend of the great orator Cicero. He created this thing with tools, based stylus and wax tablets, so he could write plays literally. And why did he do it? Intellectual bootlegging. So the high society Romans were obsessed with wit. A wealthy Roman might send a trained slave, a Liberius, to a play to capture the best jokes, clever lines, or philosophical monologues so they can quote it later at dinner parties.
Yep.
Another reason is the book trades. In ancient Rome, there were no copyright laws. If a play by a famous writer like Terence or Claudius was a hit, a bookseller might send scribes to transcribe the performance so that they could create unauthorized scripts to sell in the shops. And the other reason would be actor training. So aspiring actors are students of rhetoric, often watch plays to learn timing and delivery. Taking notes on the blocking or the vocal inflection of a famous actor was a common way to study the craft. And then you also had people that were prompters, the prompter monitor. So somebody would be back behind the stage, helping people that fucked up their lines and like reading them, like whispering them so they knew what to say on stage. And then you had direct references in text. The Roman writer Pliny the Younger mentions that he took secretaries, notarii, with him almost everywhere, even on hunts. It is highly likely that when elite Romans attended a theater, they had scribes nearby to jot down any divine inspiration or particularly sharp dialogue they heard on the stage. So yeah, dude, it all wraps into what you're saying for sure.
Right. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, what we have as the text for the Gospel of Mark is some dude that was at this performance that went, "Yo, that was so fucking good. Write that down," and then was like telling their friend on the way home, in the fucking wagon cart, the donkeys, and telling it to their friend, and his friend's over there writing with the clay. He's like, "Oh, remember that part where in the cemetery, and then all the pigs went, remember that part?" And then
Bro, that was crazy.
Right. That's
Wow.
what the book reads like, right? It's not this like elegant Greek that you would expect if it was, this divine fucking, magical script that like, has to do with this fucking guy named Jesus
He's
that was
the only one who
sacrificed.
doesn't have kids, but it's like the wombats poop squares. Like the joke from Olaf where he like just like throws it out there like, did you know water has memory? It's like he's just like talking randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're Olaf.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, you would be Olaf.
I don't know the reference.
Yeah.
That's a compliment. That's
Tell
a
me about one of
compliment.
the episodes, start to finish.
Neil Patrick
Olaf
No, I'm
Harris.
joking.
makes
See,
everything up, and he's
I'm-
hilarious.
I was making a joke. I'm familiar with the type of the archetype of the character that you're explaining. Do we want to do some more bibliomancy? Serious. Let's take it from the tippy over here at the table of context.
Wait, one more
And-
thing for you conspiracy guys before I shut up.
it's
The guy
conspiracy.
that I just mentioned, the Roman guy, the Tyrian shorthand system, right? So he died in 4 BC. And when was Jesus born?
Year 0.
4 BC. So he invented shorthand fucking script for these plays. The same year he died, Jesus was born.
According,
He might have been 6 BC though. I'm just playing. Just joking.
Yeah.
It might have been not at all because
Right,
mythical people that don't exist aren't born. Sorry.
Well,
Well, I mean, born in text.
I
yeah.
think
Have you
of
seen
all of
the-
Carrier, you'd agree with his last book probably a lot. with the obsolete paradigm.
I mean, I'd imagine that I would read Richard Carrier's book and go, I agree with most of this. And then when he does all the analytical philosophy stuff with, Bayes' theorem and fucking, modus ponens and making sure your eyes and your cues do all this shit.
What's
I go,
modus ponens? What does that mean?
That's not the type of thing you want to say out loud.
Yes, it is.
So anyway, when Richard Carrier does all of that stuff, I go, the people that wrote this stuff weren't doing that. Like you're trying to do this analytical stuff to them when like they were doing, fucking diatribes on the street corner. Like you can't analyze a diatribe on a street corner. Like you have to witness a diatribe on a street corner and appreciate the diatribe on the street corner, right? You appreciate the busker for how they make a fucking garbage can and a fucking acoustic guitar with one string sound really fucking cool and do a cover of Bob Marley and go, wow, that guy did a cover of Bob Marley on a garbage can and a guitar with one string. That was really fun. I'm going to give him a buck.
That is a great video, man.
Right? I mean, that's so much more interesting. But if
I
you
love
go
that
in,
one.
if you go in and you try to analyze him using, like, say, fucking analytical fucking music theory and saying, oh, he was flat on this tone or on this here, and he was sharp over here, and his vocal performance, he, like, if you go doing that, you're like, no, you're missing the point. Like the point is not all of those things. It's how it's different from all of those things that you're doing, right? It's the Apollonian and the Dionysian, right? The Apollonian is that tendency that we have to build these little structures and these frames and the shapes and that, right? But a fucking mime in the agora, a street performer, a busker, like somebody who has to fucking perform for their dinner, they don't care about all your Apollonian shit, right? They say what makes the audience laugh. They give you the naked midgets running around with their dongs out because that's what the audience reacts to, right? Like just like what Tiger Shark was saying, we have historical records of these people that were slaves that had to go out to these festivals and write down the funniest jokes and then at fucking dinners recite those jokes back to their fucking their slave masters. Like it would be like
No, I'm using that. I'm using that now.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Skobie, let's merge Apollo and Dionysus.
That's perfect.
You need to go to page 126. 42
Page?
times 3.
Well, 42 times 3 is 126. I will remember that and tell my daughter that. She's also one of those math nerds. I am not. She thinks I am, though.
It skips generations.
Yeah, it does.
Well, I'm a nerd in a different way.
It also depends on if you're talking about the past, present, and the future, or
trifold time. Is that where we're going?
Yeah. Trifold time generations get weird, so it can skip as well as develop late.
How we looking? Is it Mark and Roman congregation?
Oh, I have no idea what it is.
Well, yeah, no, the muse just delivered a page.
You said 126, right?
Mm-hmm. 42, 42, 42.
124. I think this is the right page. Hold on.
Make it so it's.
I also have to Dionysus in the toilet.
It's
You got to go dialysis?
Yes, it's Secundus.
Secundus.
Oh, he's got to go Secundus. Gotcha.
Yeah, I gotta.
I think Witch Doctor's also Secundusing right now. Can you make it so it's one page?
No.
Yes, you've been doing it all night.
Is that page also intentionally left blank? No, it was not. They accidentally left this one blank.
Oh wow, there's no such thing as coincidences. All right, Johnny, go drain your fucking snake. We're gonna learn about.
Lizard.
We're gonna learn your fucking lizard. Go get the demons.
It's got
out.
legs?
Go get the demons out. It does have legs. It's canonical. It's canonical now.
He
Somebody
might need
put
to
that.
wrap that up.
Yeah, dude. If somebody wants to write about that in the Towel of Minerva, Skobie Wan's dragon. All right, let's
It's
take
going
it.
in my book now.
Yeah. There you go. You can go in my book too.
Then he whipped
All
out
right.
his wiener.
And it
In
has
this
legs.
chapter, I present what little I've been able to infer about Mark and his congregation from the play itself, from a scenario in which a play about the Jesus figure was presented as entertainment in a theater. Mark's biography. To have presented his play before the congregation, Mark must have had their respect and trust. He was very likely middle-aged or older. Oh, yo, like geriatric shame. Come on, chick.
Eh,
Old people have feelings too. They need love. You know, they pop those teeth out, everything's good. At the time of the performance, as was the Jesus character in the play. I bet he liked the teeth popped out too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. The honored playwright. I have given numerous reasons to infer that Mark was a highly skilled playwright. He creates scenes with multiple resonances. Oh, okay, cool. So like a formant. There are 3 simultaneous meanings. 3. Of Jesus' cry on the cross. The possessed centurion speaks the truth, but it is not credible because he is possessed. The march to the cross enacts the procession of the equinoxes. Mark skillfully manages the logistics of the play. He provides characters' names in the midst of relevant action. The stilling of the storm scene places the landing mat for the drowning pigs. Peter's sword strike during the arrest scene lays the groundwork for the exit of all the actors on stage at the end of the play. There are many more scenes that show Mark's skill. So I guess here what she's doing is she's describing essentially like the various actions in what we are to presume is Flavilla's estate, for lack of a better word. And like, so when they're doing this scene, we leave the boat over here so that when the pigs fall off over here off the balcony, they land here and everybody's fine. No one's going, oh shit, he died.
Yeah, yeah. And it has
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
with
yeah.
like
And so,
the practicality of the space
yeah, yeah,
itself.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. So like, to put it into like other terms, you're blocking, right?
Right.
Like the tape on the floor that says walk here, stop for 3 seconds, then after you've said your line, go left.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fucking cool. And
And
so
it's
she's
all
rebuilt this.
it's a fucking brilliant book, dude. When you want to when you read it on that level and you're like, "Oh shit."
I
Really
get
fun.
so sidetracked. I have a copy of the PDF that I like opened up to page like 20, which as we saw was the preface.
Yeah.
I've had
I'm
that on my
telling you,
phone for months. This is crazy.
it's
I
such
love
a
this.
fun book, and it's like, oh shit, like I never thought about it that way. You want to keep going? Or you want to?
Ooh, I like that Mary the Toothless Magdalene tiger shark. Fuck yeah. If, as
Bam.
I have proposed, Mark played the role of Jesus, then, when Jesus' character referred to his own biography, the audience might assume that those references also applied to Mark. Oh yeah, authors write themselves into their own work all the fucking time, especially if he's literally acting his one-man stage play. Like, there are 2 such lines that Mark preserved in the polished text. I suggest that these lines also applied to Mark's biography in the world of the audience. She gonna say which 2 lines they are? Yeah. First, when Jesus teaches in the synagogue, the chorus asks, "Where did this man get all of this?" Mm-hmm. What is the wisdom that has been given to him? What deeds of power are being done by his hands? It is not this, the carpenter, the son of Mary. Jesus has not handled wood or crafted anything physical, so the wood, tekton, must be metaphorical. The contemporary use of tekton was a skilled interpreter of Scripture. Jesus is a skilled interpreter of Scripture. The audience could not be faulted if they also applied tekton to the actor Mark as praise for him as a skilled crafter of plays, a playwright. Second, now the concept of Jesus equals Mark equals playwright is activated in the audience's mind. Mark adds a layer. The audience hears the Jesus character say, "Prophets are not without honor." Oh, nice, nice. Everybody's terrible but me. Except in their hometowns and among their own kin and in their own house. Oh, okay, so not everyone's terrible but me, but my family hates me. Typical artist bullshit. The audience knows that Jesus has not been honored in the world of the play, and it is strange that Jesus notices that he has not been honored. He has not sought honor. He has cynic values. Ooh. Ooh. And he's
Ooh.
got cynic values, and he comes from where? Where was that he came
Where?
from again?
Where is that?
A place that's cynic.
Huh.
Huh.
Weird. That's
Interesting.
funny.
That's interesting. Where did they go with the Gerasene demoniac? That's in
Wow.
Gadara, right? There's not a cynic that's from Gadara, is there?
That's just like a couple of days walk if you're really bored and stoned from Nazareth, right?
There's not a
No.
highly influential, famous cynic from Gadara. Why can't I? why
No,
can't
I'm
I
pretty
think of-
sure. I'm pretty sure he's dead.
I think
He's
he
not
died
there
a long time.
anymore.
I think they're all dead.
No, I think they all died. Yeah, I don't think he's
Well,
there anymore.
one of them apparently rose up, so don't.
I mean,
Quote
yeah, but
Oh.
I rise up every morning. That's nothing
Yeah.
Me
special.
too, boy.
Talking about pitching a tent, right?
Hey.
Hey, that's called a callback.
Right.
Hey.
That's a call forward.
Who's the tent builder? Didn't
Yeah, that was what I just said. It's a callback.
Uh-huh.
But what was his name?
Paul?
Who is
Zach.
on first? Oh man, Witch Doctor, thank you for coming back just on time because you were feeding your dog and we were just talking about Mark being a cynic
And I
who
was-
is Jesus. So
I was training
take a
the
look at this.
lizard.
Take a look at this.
Excuse me.
Look at it. In no uncertain terms, Jesus equals Mark
Equals playwright.
equals the playwright. The guy who performed Jesus as the actor was the guy who wrote it. And his name, he called himself Mark.
Do you think that was his stage notes? He was just like writing down what he had to remember. You know, like shorthand. Like it's really short. There's not a lot of details.
Yeah,
so
Witch
what
Doctor
usually-
Tiger Shark just established that like super close to this time there was a shorthand that was developed for tracking this stuff. So
Well, the Egyptians had shorthand too, but they did like cursive shorthand.
I don't know. You can
No, they
you can
didn't.
if you want to find a book and read about the history of shorthand and bring it to the show.
I would love to do that.
It would require you reading a whole book.
I will do that.
All right. Well, I got a book about dwarves you can read.
I don't want to read that.
All right. Anyway, Sirius, you want to keep going or anything jumping out at you? What do you got? What are you thinking?
Oh man, like I'm just sitting here going like over what I've read of like the Jesus mythology myself and trying to think of like not that values that can be attributed to the cynicism here.
Looking for the holes.
And again, it's the projected image of cynicism as well.
Yeah.
Because if Mark is actually trying to do what she's calling out, then he doesn't actually hold the cynic values. He wants to be seen as holding the cynic values.
Right. And Lucian has this guy, his character Peregrinus, who sets himself on fire at the Olympics. In no uncertain terms, Lucian says, "Oh yeah. Peregrinus wrote text, false text for the Christians and convinced a bunch of them." And if you want my crazy theory, the actual like holy shit, batshit crazy theory that Mandy Moorhall can't prove, I think Lucian of Samosata is the author of Luke.
Interesting.
I think I've heard you say that before.
Yep, and I think the author of Mark is a cynic who was sort of a Hellenistic Jew kind of guy that was living in Gadara. So there's no, coinky dink that he wrote himself into the character of his hometown into this cynic howling in the garden, and it's a midget character. So
Hmm.
I think that performer, I think these two were a duo, right? They think they were a duo, right? That went around and
Okay.
traveled this stuff, right?
Martin and Lewis.
Yeah. So you have Dionysus and his satyr, that go around. That was probably a character that these two played all the time. You have these two that were a common traveling. And this isn't outrageous. Nero was a traveling performer. That went on tour and people knew him for his performances, right?
Mhm.
So I think that this Jesus and Nianiskos, special guest in the garden midget dwarf character, I think they were traveling duo that performed together on the street corners and stuff, and in private dinners, and they performed all sorts of characters. And Jesus and the Nianiskos was just one of many that they did.
So,
And
are you saying that that Mark is like shorthand, some Reddit blurb from some nerd who watched it 1,000 times and just
yeah,
wrote it down?
yeah. So I think somebody.
No offense to nerds, by the way.
Yeah, I think so. I think somebody was like a super fan of this particular duo.
And he was the first, maybe the first, I don't know, what's the word, celebrity kind of thing? Like,
Well, Diogenes was one of the first celebrities.
I don't mean first. I just mean.
Well, no, but the thing is that cynicism is one of those things that you have celebrity amongst the common folk because they've taken a vow of poverty. They are coming at your level. They're they're like a traveling fucking folk punk band. You know what I mean?
It's cool to not care, man.
Yeah, it's cool to not care. It's like you've seen the fucking the turnout for you know punk bands that are
Well, I've been
crust punk bands.
Yes.
Yeah, you and I went and saw Leftover Crack.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Remember how many smelly crust punks
Yes.
were at
It
Leftover
was
Crack?
Very terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Now
One of them
imagine.
climbed up a
Functioning
pole,
methods.
climbed across the crossbeam, and dropped onto other smelly people. It
Yeah,
was really gross.
they had the time of their fucking
Yeah.
life, dude. Now imagine one of those people in that crowd tried to tell you, their set list from start to finish
Yeah.
while they're
No.
moshing. And,
Actually, I can tell you they're not gonna remember it.
No, but if you have two of them, and let's say those two
Oh,
were,
those-
a folk punk.
Are you
band
saying
that-
Mark's a crust punk?
Yes, Mark is a crust punk.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yes.
Dionysus
Yeah.
is definitely a crust punk, right?
Pan's a crust punk. All of
Absolutely.
these, Diogenes, like cynicism was the crust punk.
Diogenes, sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't mean
Well,
Diogenes.
Dionysus was too, because he had his satyrs, right?
Well, one of them lived in a barrel, so
Yes,
So gutter
yes,
punk.
Yes, gutter punks.
gutter punk.
Right? So, that's why you
I
have
let
this.
a crust punk sleep on my couch once, and I had to throw that couch away. So
Hell
Oh,
yeah, Jim.
dude, you just need baking soda, hot water, and a third ingredient.
I know that now. I didn't know that then.
What the third ingredient?
The third ingredient's
That third
alcohol.
ingredient will get you on a watch list. Don't say it out loud, dude. You can't say that. You need an entire barrel full, and you need a. Sorry, keep going. No, I couldn't show the dog time. Definitely not going to tell that recipe.
Person.
Johnny, I'm making allusions to some really, 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 dark things.
Well, let's give
Dark
the
magic.
audience some references. More
All right,
Greek,
yeah.
more
Anyway,
Greek playwrights.
Tiger Shark, do you have anything to say about what the Muse delivered
Well,
to Sirius?
you know,
here? This is great.
This goes
I
back
fucking
to
love this
Richard
show.
Carrier. This guy, Richard Carrier, thinking he knows everything. So, did he actually study Greek playwrights and look where they're mentioned in the New Testament? Because it's all over the place. So, let's just go through a couple of these that I think are worthwhile mentioning. One is Menander. Menander is directly mentioned in 1 Corinthians 15:33. Paul writes, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts bad character." This is a direct lift from a play by Menander, a famous Greek comic playwright.
Yeah.
By quoting a popular playwright, Paul was using a popular. So that's what the Christians say. They're like, well, he was just around Greek, so he just. It's like, dude, you don't just pick that shit up unless you're a part of the fucking culture. That's like saying, I don't know, like a poser doesn't just like back in '94, like somebody's like, I like fucking Nirvana. They don't know how to fucking play Nirvana. That takes time to do that, right? to play and sound like that. So, anyways, Euripides is another one. The Bacchae is in Acts 26:14. And then you got a couple other ones. The world as a stage, 1 Corinthians 4:9. I'm not going to go into all these, but the root for theater, theatertron is described as a Christian experience, a spectacle. They're basically taking that and making their own fucking use out of it. Hypocrites or Hippocrates, used by Jesus throughout the Gospels. Matthew 6:2 was a standard Greek word for a stage actor. It literally meant one who answers from under a mask. The theater as a setting, the Rite of Ephesus in Acts 19. The cloud is of witnesses, Hebrews 12:1. Surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. The imagery here is that of a Roman or Greek amphitheater. The witnesses, martyrs, or heroes of faith are envisioned as the audience sitting in the tiered stone benches. Herod's theater, so Josephus, obviously we've talked about that before, but he's actually noted this in his writings. Records Herod built theaters and amphitheaters in Jerusalem. So, a Jew building fucking theaters, like what's going on, guys, right? Clearly, they were trying to mimic what was going on in the Greek and Roman world.
Yeah, and they were Hellenized Jews, so you would expect them to know about the theater and make theater references and stuff. And these Dionysian festivals and the satire, right? The satire, ancient ritual that all of this stuff is, because the Bible is satire, right? The Bible is satire. And I was arguing with somebody the other day, trying to explain to him, how I can justify saying the Bible is satire. And I tell them, their argument was like, oh, well, it's such a small amount of satire that's in the Bible. It's not the entire thing. And I go, well, that doesn't make any sense. That would be like getting pulled over, drinking a White Claw, and going, well, officer, it's only 4% alcohol. It's 96%, water. Right, it's mostly water. It's not an alcoholic beverage. Like, it's not like the entire thing is alcoholic. You know what I mean? Like, how do you separate each and every individual molecule of alcohol? It's evenly distributed. The entire thing is categorically form structurally, everything about it is an alcoholic beverage, right? The same thing is with satire. You have to think about it like that. Like, it's the alcohol that is in the beverage that makes it an alcoholic beverage. You can't take it out, right? Like, it would be absurd. You would get arrested for drinking a White Claw while you're driving, right? It's same exact reason that, even if, my Mott and Bailey isn't true and 100% of the Bible is satire, like I say, and, the minimalist, situation is it's only 5%, I still win because a White Claw is an alcoholic beverage. Game over, guys. Like, it took a satirist to explain that to you. You should have thought about it yourself before you objected and made such a silly argument. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really good at doing straw man because my straw men are cowardly lions. They're not even steel men. I passed that one over. You know what I mean? I'm going after the cowardly lions. You know what I mean? Anybody who says that satire doesn't have its place in academia, they don't know what they're talking about, right? They are throwing Galileo out the window, right? Galileo. Anybody who says that satire does not have its place in academia is taking Galileo and throwing it out the window, because Galileo presented his ideas that changed the goddamn world and put science on the track so that we can do all the fucking brilliant things that we can do now. In the form of satire.
To your point, what they're
doing.
Doing.
It was satire that Galileo delivered to the world. It was not technological, analytical mumbo jumbo. It was ridicule and shame into demonstrating how stupid and dullardly anybody who objects to what he's saying does, how they should sound to the world, right? Like, anybody who has studied the history of civilization should realize that satire has an importance, right? And people like Richard Carrier, who, we pulled him up on the show here. You can go and take a look at what he said about one of my questions on myth vision. And in no uncertain terms does the guy say satire, when you start doing it, you're out of the realm of academia. No. Like, sorry, bud. Like, you accidentally threw Galileo out the window. And I think this book here might be the Galileo of mythicism, and you're missing so much of it, right? And maybe I'm the Galileo of mythicism, where I'm putting my theory in the form of satire and explaining it. So I'm actually gonna take that out of this book and award that to myself. Fucking, we coined it here right now on episode 1 of A Gluten-Free Bread and Circus. The muse delivered. Mandy Morhall is the Galileo of mythicism. You heard it here. Put it on a fucking t-shirt. It's fucking, there we go.
Yeah, but
Muse
okay,
delivered.
okay, but let's just look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that you got people like Richard Carrier and Wes Huff. I would love to see Mandy debate a guy like Wes Huff.
Put it on a t-shirt.
Make a t-shirt and be up to
Mandy debates a guy like Wes Huff. What would that
I'll
look like,
fucking
right?
crush Wes off. That's not even a fucking. Oh
Wes
man.
Huff?
I know you would, but that's what I'm saying is you have a modern viewpoint, right? A cult viewpoint, a modern cultish viewpoint
Yeah.
on what transpired 2,000 years ago, and they don't know
Yeah.
the fucking culture and the surrounds.
I mean, they don't know the half of it. That's the point of this entire show. The point of Gluten-Free Bread and Circus is to show that like these people that criticize this stuff don't know the half of it, right? And most of the books that I'm gonna do, these future episodes with are gonna be fortifying my satirical Mott and Bailey. And I'm open about me saying the Bible is satire as being a Mott and Bailey, right? I explained it. It would be like saying, oh, there's like I win no matter how much satire you yield me. I win because it is categorically that. It is inseparable, right?
I'm gonna
It's like the
rope a
$1 million
couple-
prostitute joke.
I'm gonna rope in some more for the satire bit to
You're gonna
even
tie a dog
deeper
tie
root.
around.
I'm gonna
the-
tie a
Oh,
dog
nice,
tie
nice,
to
nice.
the Egyptians because like the first.
Anubis.
So I know
tie.
I know that you
Anubis.
have your sources for like kind of the oldest comedic references in literature, but I think all of this and a lot of the philosophical debates that we see in satire through like Aristotle is all alchemy. Now people think alchemy is like 1st, 2nd century, but it goes way older than that. It goes back ties to ritual, to metalworking. I mean, Yahweh, the fucking metal smithing god, right? I mean, this is all back to fucking alchemy, right? What are they doing with elements? What are they, medicine? Alchemy was pre-medicine. Medicine came out of that.
Yeah.
So anytime we have the discussion, but what does that mean for written language and satire? Satire is alchemy on a fucking written page. It's text. It's textual alchemy that's used to heal the masses, right? That's why it was born. It came to heal the culture in another way, through humor, irony, wittiness, right? It took on different forms. Like the Romans took it to this extreme where they had slaves performing and writing and doing all the shit to some weird, elegant format of it. That's not how it started. And today people just laugh. They turn on Comedy Central and they think that that's satire, but it's completely different. Yeah, we still use it in similar ways where we joke on all sorts of things, right? With these stand-up comedians that we watch, right? Wars, countries, whatever they're joking on. Similar attitude, but back then when nobody could fucking read, like it was a big deal. Like everybody and their mom would go down to these things, right? The Jews had inscriptions we found where they had 5th row seats to this shit in amphitheaters. So like people just saying that this wasn't something that was attended and became a customary cross culture. That's exactly what happened. They were learning things. They even hated the Romans, right? But they wanted to learn theater. They wanted to implement that part of the aspect of the Roman culture into their own. And that was after getting their asses kicked in war multiple times. So you see that there was a need for this, even from people that got defeated. And that's kind of where I'm going to stop there. But I think a lot of people that know the alchemical ways of Plato, the Platonists, the differences between Aristotelian and others and Greek thinkers and Pythagoras and what they were thinking on plays, embryology and things of that nature. Today, we kind of have that cleared up with biology, but back then that was like the main, people didn't hear this shit. That's why the philosophers were paid to go to these schools. And that's why they were at the schools. And that's why everybody wanted to get in those schools because they were having the cool, modern debates of the time that nobody else was thinking of. And they were coming up with these cool ideas. It was shit posting. It was literally shit posting. If you go through like Aristotle's treatise on animals, it's like him just thinking of ways like, where does the soul come from? Is it external? Is it internal? It comes from the sperm. It comes from the menstruation. It comes from divine water. Well, what's divine water? It's foam. It's the heat that determines the male or the female. Like, he's just shit posting. He's just thinking of shit, and whatever sounds good, he's going with. And then that goes all the way into like the medieval times through Christianity, to where all these alchemists are like writing their own different versions of it, right? Then you have Freemasonry that springs out of it, and then you have modern day Christianity that completely flips the narrative of what the culture was doing back then, and how that I would even say it's even deeper because it's a root that took place between cultures. That's what they destroyed. It wasn't just one culture like them destroying the Greeks. It was them destroying Greeks, Roman, Egyptian, Babylonian, Akkadian, all of that shit together, and just destroying that root system that they developed over thousands of years. But I think it would be interesting to tie in the historical and alchemical makeup of that. And there's actually some really good papers written on Aristophanes actually being an alchemist, because all of his writings about transmutation. It's not about turning lead into gold, because that's what people, that don't get that in your head. Because the first alchemy was all about plants and birch pitch. The first birch pitch that we found was 200,000 years old, and they were doing rituals with birch pitch. That's alchemy, right? Animals do fucking alchemy. They make medicine. That's how some of the cultures learn their medicine. So, I mean, it's taking place all around the world in various cultures doing this and finding it, and then springing out of that, their own identity with how they wrestle with telos, with how they wrestle with theology, right? And not theology, but cosmogonies, which is how did the universe form, right? And then tying in the astrology and all of those other things into it, which obviously play a role. There's a lot of, I know you guys, a lot of these viewers probably watch Gnostic Informant. He's had some guys on there that tie in some of that astrology and astronomy into the Bible, and some of that's in there. But that
We
all
had
plays
guy
a
on- we had
role
guy on
into it.
pretty recently that did a little bit of bibliomancy. Should go check that episode out.
Yeah.
My episode with Gnostic Informant last week was actually a test run of this particular format of the show, where we're focusing on a book and then going through the table of contents and flipping through the pages and reacting. And I brought a dozen books to Neil's show and said, dude, let's just flip through the pages and fucking read what they have to say, man. And it was fun. And
Was it that book?
No. This was one of them, but I had a dozen books that I brought to the show. So that was the entire show, and we're gonna go through all of those books that I brought to Neil, and have the panel on the next episode and such. Go through and do that. But I'm thinking we want to keep these episodes down to about 2 hours, which means we're coming around the wire here.
Perfect.
I think if we take it around the loop here, and Sirius, you got any last words, any closing remarks, any thing you want to leave the audience here tonight with?
Yeah.
He has to practice it.
That's great, man. I think that's really well said. I think,
Yeah, I practice that all the fucking time.
Yeah, you do. Way too good.
Holy shit, dude. That's great.
I used to listen to ICP records backwards.
Oh man.
That's the oh man, that's fucking great, dude. Tiger Shark, Witch Doctor, dude, any closing remarks? Anything
Yeah,
you want to tell the audience? Anything about the book? You're gonna go and read the book on your own after this experience?
Well, what I was going to do is next time you do an episode, Friday night's probably pretty likely for that. Just moving forward, if that's something that people like, I was going to read next time the first chapter of Antonius, which is the prequel to Secundus. But the first chapter is around 1200 BC, and they're at the River Styx. That's all I'm going to say.
dude.
But go
Which
check
river Styx?
the River Styx. You'll see. Anyway, Stephen M. Blackman, check me out on Amazon. There's 3 books there. The Kindles are very affordable. Secundus is free if you have Kindle Unlimited. And I got a copy right here.
I have Kegels Unlimited.
Nice.
I took the pages of the
Secundus.
book and stuffed them up there and read it that way. A little the boof the book.
Yeah. Anyway,
Like
other than
like Edgar Casey, but with a butt.
Yeah.
I'm interested to talk to Sirius a little bit more too. See if I can get some good ideas from him. I write fiction, so I'm allowed to do whatever
Okay.
that I want to. You know?
Okay.
gotta
Well,
do
I have bad ideas.
Yeah. We gotta keep these episodes are for these communities to cross pollinate. So
Yeah. I need all kinds of
I would love to
things.
see Sirius on your show. Doing
Hell yeah.
a solo episode and y'all getting to know each other a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah.
Tiger
Could
Shark,
organize that.
any closing remarks you got for the audience? Anything to bookend this episode?
Yeah, I think
to, metaphorically wipe the asses and flush the paper.
Yeah, I think you guys, a lot of guys, if they want, like a lot of guys and ladies want some homework, go look at Greek writers, Roman writers, and Anatolian writers and Mesopotamian writers on God and drugs and divinity, and you're going to find a lot of that intersection with the inspiration it took for them to come up with some of these writings that you are reading in the Bible. And other locations. My favorite is Plutarch. There's a bunch of others. You can go down the list. Marcus Aurelius, Stoic, right? Stoicism. He was a big opium user. He found divine inspiration in that. There's a lot that get to that, but these guys that say that drugs have nothing to do with it, or we knew they did drugs or whatever. I think there's a deeper connection than that than them just doing drugs. I think that a lot of them found inspiration to tap into something, whether you call that the muse or the void or what the Greeks would call the coextensive continuum or the pneuma, to find their soul and their connection with Gaia and how they brought that out into culture and society. I think that those experiences are real. And I think that, I'm a big believer in them. So I read these texts and I see that, and I just kind of see these people trying to figure things out. Right. And that's all I see really, but it's a mystery and it's not meant to be solved. So keep it the fucking mystery.
Fuck yeah, Tiger Shark. We're gonna have you all back in future episodes. But thank everybody for watching episode 1 of Gluten Free Bread and Circus. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Remember, you can if this inspired you to write or to do stuff and you want to be part of this panel, to do so, all you have to do is write a contribution to the book The Towel of Minerva. Boom. You don't even have to buy it. You can just be an artist and write stuff. But that gets you, invitation to the private Discord and, the secret passwords. Secret passwords Boroboros.
Boroboros.
Yeah, it's Boroboros. I got a book. We'll show that one
Yeah,
in the future. But I'm putting together a calendar for all of these episodes in the future and all of that. For what books we're going to do and what the panel is, and there's people that we're going to invite who wrote books who are going to be guest hosts, and if there's books on that list that you have read, you can guest host the episode, and then we'll have 2 hosts and 3 panelists and all of that. But if you want a book, you can go to shopskobie1.com, and I just want to leave everybody with a little bit of reminder that to invoke Heraclitus and Diogenes.
Oh yes.
You can't wash your lettuce in the same river twice.
Nope.
Hail Eris, good night. Hand turkey.
Good to see you. Oh, hand turkey.
Hand turkey. And roll the outro.
Oh, wait, we gotta get.
Oh, everybody gets the hand turkeys. Hand turkey, everybody.
There it
Hand
is.
turkeys. Hand turkeys. This isn't weird. It's really
It is
funny.
very weird,
It
but-
makes it funnier and more satirical if we keep doing this for like too long. Like how long until it's annoying?
Well,
How long until the bit isn't a bit
Saturday Night
anymore?
Live would say 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
That's how long
We have
the
to
bit
we have
has
to
to
do
go.
this for a minute and 30 seconds to
I
be
do
Doing
it.
fun.
Chris Father.
Are you
No, it's gotta
asking-
be
I
so
used to
long you're uncomfortable, dude.
Oh man.
How long?
Yeah.
I mean, I can commit to a bit. I've been committing to bits for a very long time. All right, roll the
Aren't you
outro.
that Chinese guy that pretended to be Chinese for like his whole life and then turned out to be some British dude?
Flowing free bread and circus, known to be hella circus. While they creatures, phone out speakers, emblems, talisman, callous hands. I ain't friends with them. I ain't friends with them.